The air in Jerusalem was thick with the scent of roasted lamb and unleavened bread. But in the Garden of Gethsemane, it was thick only with sorrow. There, under the gnarled branches of ancient olive trees, Jesus knelt, the weight of the world, of every broken heart and every wrong ever committed, pressed down upon him until his sweat fell to the earth like great drops of blood. This was the cost of love, and he did not turn away from it. The betrayal came not with the clash of swords, but with the softness of a kiss, a sign of affection twisted into a signal for arrest. He was led away, a silent lamb among wolves, through a series of sham trials where justice was a spectator, not a participant. The crowds who had shouted Hosanna just days before were now whipped into a frenzy, their voices a single, monstrous roar: crucify him. They chose a murderer, Barabbas, to go free, and condemned Love himself to die. The journey to the hill, called Golgotha, the place of the skull, was a symphony of agony. The cross, rough-hewn and heavy with the sins of mankind, dug into his torn back. He fell, not once but 3 times, the dust of the road mingling with his blood. Along the path, his mother, Mary, watched. Their eyes met for a fleeting moment, a silent exchange of a lifetime of love and a universe of pain. No sword could have pierced her heart more deeply. At the summit, the cruel work was done. The sound of hammers striking iron nails was a brutal, rhythmic punctuation mark in the history of the world. They raised the cross, and he was suspended between heaven and earth, a bridge of suffering built for all to cross. Yet, from his lips came no curse, only a whisper that shook the foundations of heaven: Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. For 3 hours, darkness fell over the land at midday. The sun, as if unable to watch, veiled its face. The jeers of the crowd slowly died into an unnerving silence. He cared for his mother, giving her into the care of his beloved disciple, John. He offered paradise to a repentant thief crucified beside him. And then, with a final hue and cry that tore through the unnatural gloom, he said, "It is finished." He bowed his head and gave up his spirit. In that moment, the earth itself groaned in protest. A great earthquake shook the ground, and the massive temple curtain, which separated humanity from the holiest presence of God, was torn in two from top to bottom. The separation was over. The price had been paid. His followers, their hope shattered into a million pieces, were granted permission to take his body. With gentle, trembling hands, they lowered his lifeless form from the cross. Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus, secret disciples, brought forth 100 pounds of myrrh and aloes, an amount fit for a king. They wrapped his body in clean linen. The precious spice is a fragrant, final act of love in the face of absolute defeat. They laid him in a new tomb, carved from rock, and a great stone was rolled against the entrance. And then, silence. A hollow, aching silence fell over Saturday. The disciples hid their hearts as sealed and dark as the tomb itself. The world felt empty. The light had gone out. It was, for all intents and purposes, the end. But love is stronger than death, and light is more powerful than any darkness. Before the first rays of the sun dared to touch the horizon on the third day, a small group of women made their way to the tomb. Mary Magdalene, Joanna, and Salome carried spices, their only thought to perform one last loving service for their master. Their grief was a heavy shroud, and their quiet question was full of despair: who will roll the stone away for us? As they drew near, they stopped, their hearts leaping into their throats. The great stone, which would have taken several strong men to move, was rolled away. The tomb was open. Peering into the darkness, they saw not a body, but an angel, his robes as white as lightning. "Do not be afraid," he said, his voice like music. "Why do you seek the living among the dead? He is not here. He has risen, just as he said." Fear and an ecstatic, unbelievable joy warred within them. They ran, stumbling and breathless, to tell the disciples, their words tumbling out in a cascade of glorious news. Peter and John raced to the tomb, finding it just as the women had said, empty, save for the neatly folded linen cloths. A grave robber would never have been so tidy. This was not an act of theft, but of victory. Still, Mary Magdalene lingered outside the tomb, weeping. Her Lord was gone, and she did not know where they had taken him. Through her tears, she saw a figure she assumed was the gardener. "Sir," she pleaded, "if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." The man spoke a single word, in a voice that held all the love she had ever known. "Mary." She froze. The world stopped spinning. It was him. The recognition, the impossible, beautiful truth, washed over her in a tidal wave of pure joy. "Rabboni," she cried out, "my teacher." He was alive. The end was not the end. It was the beginning of everything. The tomb was not a grave, but a womb from which a new creation was born. Death was not a victor, but a vanquished foe, and the light that had seemed extinguished on Friday was now blazing like a new dawn, a light that no darkness could ever overcome. If you enjoy contents that edify the soul, prepare you for rapture, kindly share and also subscribe for more uploads. You are the reason we do this.